Hey everyone, welcome back to the film industry with the Amber Living vlog, and I have number 8 for you, and we're going to talk about film dreams and how you prevent them from being crushed. How do you prevent your film dreams from being crushed? Life gets in the way so many times, a lot of things happen, and it's happened to me. One thing I'm going to say, when you're first starting out, when you're just getting out of college, or you're just starting to put yourself out there into the network or the industry itself, you are going to have a tough time getting a full-time gig. But it is possible, so you never know. You may get 1 or 2 days here and there on a feature film, you could be working on an indie project, you could be working a web series, and I will say that you're going to start out doing free gigs. I think everyone in the industry has had to work on certain, pro bono type work. Don't throw those opportunities away, because you never know who you're going to meet or what opportunities will open up from that free gig. So if you're working for free, or you're working, days here and there, how do you live? How do you pay for your rent? How do you, feed yourself? The first thing I'm going to suggest is, if you are still in college, you're still dorming, or you're still living with your parents, start now. Do your free gigs now, where you kind of have your rent paid for and you're working at the same time. So do as many internships as possible, do as many free gigs as possible, get as much experience as you can while you're still in college. If you're out of college, and say you can stay at your parents' are totally cool if you live in there, then live with your parents. If you can avoid rent at any cost, avoid rent, because it's really, really hard to pay rent if you're doing like freelance and you don't have any work coming your way, and you're doing like a couple days here and there. If that is not an option for you, if you cannot live with your parents, or you cannot live rent free, then there are some other things I'm going to suggest. If you're relocated like I did, the first thing I did is, I'm like, what is my backup job? What can I do? What are my other skills? You need a flexible job where you can kind of say, hey, I can work this day, I need this week off, or you need to start a relationship with an employer, so if you're gone for a month, they still want you to work after you come back. It's not like, oh, I can't work for a week, or I can't work for a month, and they fire you. You want to be so good at that other job that they welcome you back no matter what. When I moved to New York City, I wanted to be in coffee. I wanted to learn how to be a barista. I wanted to know the art of coffee. So I was like, you know what? I love coffee a lot. I want to learn how to be a barista. And that was my part-time gig. So when I worked in the cafe, that was great, and when I needed off for a month, they didn't mind, because they had a lot of other people there, and I was a good worker, so they're like, you know what, we'll welcome me back after a month. That's no problem. Some other suggestions, if you don't want to work in retail, or you don't want to work in a fast food place or a cafe, when I was working on set, I would talk to other crew members and see what they were doing. They said they worked at temp agency, so that is another thing you can do. One thing people forget is they have to live beneath their means. You have to live in that small apartment. You have to kind of give up going out for that weekend, or drinking that weekend, or buying these clothes all the time, buying so many different shoes all the time. You have to really conserve your resources as much as possible. You might be living in a tiny apartment for now, but once you get established, it's all worth it. Stay focused. Whatever you do, you have to stay focused. Don't get distracted by what other people are doing. Don't let your depression get to you. Don't let your confidence fall. All it takes is one yes to get the ball rolling. So you're going to be told no all the time, so get used to it and don't let it bother you. It doesn't mean you're not good enough. When I say stay focused, I also want to attach that to loved ones. Loved ones can be very, very much a distraction. If you are single, in my opinion, that's better. Throw your time, energy, and money into finding freelance gigs, working on your resume, networking, doing all those things you need to do to push your career forward. There'll be time for a relationship and a person once you get steady work. It takes time, exposure, and persistence to get steady work. It's hard to do, but it's definitely doable. All those things that I mentioned before are what you can expect. You have to make sacrifices, you have to be persistent, and you have to work hard and stay focused. That's the number one thing you should remember. Stay focused. Don't let your film dreams be crushed. Stick with it. This is the Amber Living vlog, and thanks for watching the film industry.